Hey guys, how's it going? It's Douglas here at Drumboy Productions, bringing you a collection complete video. This is something I've been working towards for quite a while, but I never thought I would be able to complete this set due to the elusivity of one mask in particular. But we managed to score one of those recently, and due to that, I only needed one more green Ghostface to have every neon green 9207 Ghostface ever produced by Funworld. And yesterday, the green mask I was missing arrived, so with that being said, I do believe I am now the first person to ever get every single neon green Ghostface from the 9207 line in one place at one time. There's only one other collector that I know could have possibly done this, but he's a private collector and he's not even really in the community anymore, so I don't know if he ever did do this or not. But as far as I know, there's never been any photos of them all together. He never claimed to have completed the set, so I do believe that would make me the first. And I can already tell you guys who's going to be the second one to do it, my homie John Plonsky. Shortly after this video is done, I'll be sending John the 2 green Ghostface masks that he was missing for his set, so we will both have complete sets of every neon green Ghostface. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a tour of each and every green Ghostface mask in order, try to show you guys all the different variants and their differences. We're going to start with the most iconic mask and the mask that started it all, the Gen 1 Fantastic Faces Weeping Ghost. As many of you know, the Fantastic Faces line was the host of the Weeping Ghost mask, which later went on to become the Ghostface mask as used in Scream. The 9207 or fluorescent masks were started in this line, and they did also predate Scream and Ghostface. The first lineup included white shroud masks, pink masks, orange masks, green masks, and regular white masks with black shrouds. This copy in particular looks to be an earlier copy due to the fact that it is missing a few different mold flaws that are present on this specific mold variant on later masks, or at least on other masks that I've seen. So being that the mold didn't seem to have all the defects at this point, I'm guessing this would be an earlier copy in an earlier run. And this actually happens to be one of the more unique masks in my collection, as well as probably one of the most unique Fantastic Faces I've ever owned, due to one simple factory defect. When I flip back these tassels here at the top of the shroud, you can kind of see, if it'll focus, there's a hole right there. I can put my finger straight through it into the mask. Now when I initially saw this, I thought it was damage to the mask because that's a very, very common place for these masks to rip apart from the shroud due to whenever people tie these tassels behind their head. If you have a larger head, it can stretch it and cause it to pop away from the mask. However, on this copy, that's not the case, because when you flip it inside out, if you look at the edge there, you can pretty much see right here is where they went off the edge of the mask, completely missing the shroud and the mask itself, and then they get back onto the mask somewhere over here. So this entire section of the mask was never stitched at any point. So this is not damage, just a really interesting, odd factory defect. Other than that, it's a really nice copy with really flat streamers, a really clean face, vibrant green, and no damage. Next up, we're going to take a look at the second mask to be released under the Fantastic Faces 9207 line, the Gen 2 Fluorescent Green Fantastic Faces with a cotton shroud. Many of you are already aware of the differences between the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 style masks, but I'll be sure to give you guys a good side-by-side so you can really see the differences. For one, the Gen 1 mask is just a little bit smaller than the Gen 2 mask, and also huge differences with the finishing. For instance, also, this mask has no eyeliner, whereas all the Gen 2 run masks did in fact have eyeliner. Now, even though these masks do have eyeliner and they look nearly perfect, they're far from it because these early Gen 2s still do have hand-cut eyes, and in fact, this one does have hand-cut eyes as well. But due to the way the eyes are painted, you would never really be able to tell unless you had it in person or you see really nice close-ups. The shroud on this mask is cotton as well, and it does feature rolled up streamers instead of nice flat streamers. Other than that, as far as damage, it has one tiny hole in the top of the shroud and one slightly larger hole kind of towards the front of the top of the shroud. Other than that, it's a pretty nice mask, really no complaints. As far as the sewing lines on the side of the mouth, which we used to call mold scars, on this mask in particular, you can see a little bit of the stitching line right here on this side, but the other side is completely covered up. I'll be sure to give you guys some decent close-ups here. As you guys can see, really beautiful mask. Absolutely has that defined Gen 2 look. Next up is another Gen 2, but this time a little bit different. Here we have a Gen 2 Poli Shroud Fantastic Faces mask. Now when I say Fantastic Faces, I am no longer referring to the old style of maroon pink, purple tag. I'm not referring to that anymore. This would be a new style Fantastic Faces tag that would actually be more of like an ASIS tag, but the line of 9207s for that run was called Fantastic Faces. Out of all the different green masks I'm going to be showing you guys today, so far, by popular vote, this is everyone's favorite, or at least the one that gets the most love. And I think the main reason for that is due to that uncanny shape. It really resembles the Gen 2 that's used on the Fearsome Faces and ASIS tags. In fact, I would argue that green is the most popular color Ghostface, not just due to that tag image, but also Stab, of course. And while this one doesn't look like the Stab poster mask, because that was a Gen 1, it does look a lot like that tag mask. And this mask in particular came all the way from Sweden thanks to my friend Art and Adam. If you guys don't follow him already, go check him out. He has some really amazing artwork, and he hooked me up with this beautiful Gen 2 Poli. And the condition of this thing is immaculate. Of course, these streamers don't really roll up, and that won't really be a feature for any of the following Ghostface masks, but the condition of the shroud is really nice. Other than the 2 tag holes in the top of the shroud, there's really no damage, and overall, this is just a really beautiful copy. I would have to say it's probably one of my favorites as well. And next up is that ever so elusive mask that I thought was going to be the one to prevent me from doing this. Here we have the Poli Shroud HN mask. Now, this is probably the most unique out of all the different green masks, and I'll tell you guys why in a minute, but it's also probably the rarest and hardest to find. These are so rare, in fact, that a tagged one has never surfaced, so I can't say with 100% certainty that this would have been tagged with the alternate Fantastic Faces tag. However, due to the fact that this style EUHN premiered in the ASIS run, and these same fluorescent masks were being made around the same time period, I would like to believe that it was probably also tagged with the same Fantastic Faces tag. And as far as the condition of this mask in particular, it's actually really darn nice. The shroud does not have any issues at all. The mask itself has a couple of tiny issues, but really nothing to cry about. It has just a couple of tiny little scuffs here on the side of the chin, where you can see that the paint came off, and guys, that is the point of what I was going to make as to being the weirdest one of these. Almost every other mask on this list was cast in a solid green vinyl, and this one was cast in a semi-green vinyl, but for some reason they couldn't get the color just as solid as they had on other masks. So, all of the HNEUs are painted green. That's right. So you can actually scrape off the paint if you're not careful, and that's the only thing keeping me from removing this small blemish here. I do believe this is a factory defect, this little black dot, as it does appear to be the same type of paint used on the eyes and the mouth. Now, normally you would just take a little bit of acetone and remove that, or you could even scrape it off if you really wanted to. However, due to the fact that this is a painted mask, I do not plan to alter it in any ways. Not even going to reshape it, even though it looks like it got stepped on, which, I mean, all EUHNs kind of look that way. I'm not 100% sure what order to place these next two in, as I'm pretty sure they were both being produced at the same time. But I'll go ahead and show you guys the harder to find or rarer variant of the two. So out of all the fluorescent green Ghostface masks, this was also the first type that I ever owned, and just so happened to be the last type that I needed to complete this set, so kind of funny how that works. Here we have a gorgeous MK Squinty Eyes Fantastic Faces Ghostface mask. I think we can all agree that the MK Squinty Eyes mold is one of the oddest looking Ghostface masks. To me, it looks very much so like a Scooby-Doo version of what Ghostface would look like. Not to say that I don't like it, because I do like it in metallic and fluorescent colors, but I'll be completely honest, black and white, the MK Squinty Eyes really doesn't do much for me. I believe this is the second one of these that I owned, and it's the better condition of the two. The last one didn't really have any major issues with the mask itself, but I think the streamers had a few issues, like some runs, pulls in the thread, stuff like that. This one does not seem to have any issues at all. It's another one of those looks like the tag could have been removed yesterday type masks. The only holes I see are the holes from where the tag actually was attached. And yet again, I do believe that this is another style mask that would have been released on the purple and green Fantastic Faces style tag. And yeah, I really don't know what else to say. I mean, it says Easter Unlimited MK on the chin. Obviously you guys can see the differences in these sculpts, or at least I hope so. I'm quite surprised at how many people can see all these different versions right beside each other and don't see a difference at all. And with this next mask, we will be finished talking about all the vintage fluorescent Ghostface styles, and we only have one more to look at after that. So, with that being said, let's take a look at the most normal in the EU lineup for sure. Here we have the standard EU stamp green Ghostface Fantastic Faces. Now we do know 100% for sure that these were tagged with the purple and green Fantastic Faces tags. Like I said before, I don't believe the EUHN has ever surfaced on a tag. I do believe a couple of fluorescent MKs have, and they did in fact have those style tags, and we do know 100% for sure that these were tagged with that style tag. They would have started producing these right around the time Scream 3 came out, obviously, as that's kind of when EUs made their debut for the most part, or at least the standard style Easter Unlimited made in China stamp mask. And yeah, this one in particular looks really, really good in green. I would say this is like your classic, iconic Ghostface look. Obviously, we all love the fearsomes and fantastics, or in this case, you know, they're all kind of fantastics up to this point, which is hella confusing to explain to people, by the way. What I really meant to say is we all love the looks of Gen 1s and Gen 2s, but I think the EU has become kind of the standard look for Ghostface, or at least this is what they really, really want an idealized Ghostface to look like. Now, as far as damage on this copy in particular, it unfortunately does have some with the mouth being cut here. I don't know if you guys can see me sticking my finger through here. I think you can. I don't know why they cut that like that. It doesn't make much sense. It's a little bit sad, but at the end of the day, this mask was free. This was a gift, and I will be re-gifting this to John Plonsky because the same guy that gifted me this mask sold me his mint condition version one of these. So since I'll have a nicer version in the collection, I don't need an extra. Alright, and the last mask we're going to be taking a look at, and the final mask for the Neon Green Ghostface set, the 9207 line if you will, is this really beautiful ultra white mold mask. You guys love these, right? In all seriousness, the community really wanted to see the green, orange, and pink masks make a comeback, and it was requested for many, many, many years. And they finally brought them back in 2019 with these. Now, unfortunately, much to everyone's dismay, they were not EU stamps or a new mold, but they just used the ultra white mold, which a lot of people don't like. Personally, I'll say they look 10 times better than a standard ultra white, but it's still that super symmetrical, super clean ultra white mold shape, which, guys, we get it. We like symmetry, but Ghostface is all about that asymmetry. I really do believe that the asymmetry in the mask is one of the most terrifying aspects of it, and maybe that's why some of the later masks are nowhere near as scary, at least in my opinion, but it's still a pretty nice looking mask, and as far as condition, this one is mint, still tagged. The only one of these I have that is tagged. Shroud's perfect, it's never been worn. You know, I received this pretty much as stock. Now, one thing to look out for on these is the fact that, like the EUHNs, these are not solid cast one color. These are cast in a regular white vinyl. I don't know why they didn't cast them in colors. And then they just painted them. So, like the EUHN, the paint on this one can be scraped off, rubbed off, chipped off even possibly. I know that a lot of stock, as it arrived to retailers, had a lot of these already damaged. And a lot of people have gotten masks like these damaged off of eBay, stuff like that. It happens quite often, so you're going to have to look to find one that's absolutely mint condition, or I would suggest going with Crypt Keepers if you guys haven't already, because I do believe they still have some of the old Neon Ghostface masks in stock. Well, there you have it, guys. Every green Ghostface mask from the 9207 line, all together for what I do believe is the first time. Also, guys, I'm curious. Let me know in the comment section down below which sculpt out of all these was your favorite and why. That debate's already kind of started over on my Instagram, and there's been some interesting answers so far, so I'm interested to hear what you guys say. And with that being said, I guess there's nothing left to do but give you guys some close-ups and a good shot of all of them together, of course. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Love you all, and I'll see you next time.